verses 22 through 25. It says, one day Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go over to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and set out. As they sailed, he fell asleep. A squall came down on the lake, so that the boat was being swamped, and they were in great danger. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." He got up and rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided, and all was calm. "Where is your faith?" he asked his disciples. In fear and amazement, they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." So, what I thought was really neat about this story, Jesus said, "Hey, let's go over to the other side of the lake." Now, they could have walked around the lake, but I don't think that was Jesus' intent. I think Jesus knew that the storm was going to come up while he was asleep, and it was going to be another opportunity to show his glory with his disciples. The other thing I found interesting is Jesus is in the boat with the disciples. You think, well, so what? Whenever we are facing struggles, whenever we have a storm going on in our life, whenever we are facing trials and tribulations, guess what? Jesus is there with us. He's not going to leave us all by ourselves. He's not going to abandon us. He's right there in the boat with you. That's pretty cool. I like the fact that Jesus is willing to go through the storms with me. He's not going to let me hang out to dry. He actually told them when they got into this boat and set out, nothing of what was going to be coming. Do you think Jesus knew the storm was coming? Absolutely. They had to experience it on their own. He set them up so that they had an opportunity to come to him. Now, I don't know how quickly the storm came up and filled this boat with water. I don't know if it was kind of a progression or if it just all of a sudden happened. But they waited until the last minute when they were thinking that they were going to drown before they went and woke up Jesus. When we look at the trials and the tribulations that we go through, how late are we waiting before we take it to the feet of Jesus? You know, this is an example for us. You know, when we look at the boat filling up with water, they're about to drown. Jesus came in and he rebuked the wind and the raging waters, and the storm subsided. But you know what? The Bible tells us in James chapter 1 that God grows us through tests. That's how we grow. That's how we gain experience that we can share with others. If life were rosy all the way through and we never ever experienced any type of pain, how could we be a benefit to anyone else who might be going through that same pain? Of course, at the time, we don't think it's very pleasant. But the Bible tells us to what?